Alrighty, guys, we have some absolutely crazy news that just happened today. I was literally, I was so pissed coming on my way home because I had another stop that was added to my route, and I had to go and help out another person, and I was just basically trying to get home as fast as I can. Because I say so many other people have jumped on this news. Obviously, it's big news, but yeah, absolutely craziness happening at UFC 311 right now. In case you're living under a rock and you don't know yet, or didn't read the title of this video, or look at the thumbnail and you're just clicking on a random video, Arman Tsarukyan is out of his fight for UFC 311, and Renato Moicano has stepped in on short notice. Show me the money. Show me the money, guys. And, this is such a wild opportunity for Renato Moicano. Honestly, I think we have gotten to a point in the UFC now where it's not that crazy to have a number 10 guy go up against number 1. We saw Khalil Roundtree, number 8 guy, go up against Alex Pereira. Had a pretty good fight with him. He ended up getting TKO'd, but either way, it's showing that, on any given night, anyone could be champ. So this could be a crazy fight. Makes me lean slightly towards Islam more, but I'm rooting for Renato. And I'm gonna make sure to I'll re-go through all my picks again and doubling down on what picks I'm gonna end up picking. Some slight final predictions, but anyways, let's get into this Dana White video.
What's up, everybody? I have some breaking news for you this morning. Around 1 a.m., we received a call from Arman Tsarukyan, who informed us that he was experiencing significant back pain due to the injury. He feels like he is not healthy enough to compete. So, he is out of the fight. Stepping in to face Islam Makhachev for the title will be Renato Moicano. Wow. Moicano's been on a tear since moving up to 155 pounds and currently holds the longest active win streak amongst all fighters in the top 10 of the lightweight division. He's won 6 of his last 7 fights, including his last 4 in a row, with 3 of those coming by finish. The guy is an absolute savage, and every fight he's in is a war. He weighed in on championship weight to be prepared as the backup in case something happened. And when we spoke to him this morning, I can tell you he wants this fight.
Of course I want to fucking fight, brother. Brother, I'm going to destroy him. I'm going to destroy him and make lots of money. But yeah, coming from the boss man himself, Dana, stepping in on 24 hours notice with Arman pulling out at 1 a.m. with a back problem. This is absolutely crazy. I know we've had some crazy last minute replacements before, but to start off the first numbered card of the year with a main event change is we're entering in some weird territory for 2025. Let's just say that. But anyways, so now we know what we're looking forward to on Saturday night. Just absolute craziness. I feel bad for Benil. I hope he got paid well. He had to cut weight, go through a camp. This is him coming back off of a year, and unfortunately, he's just completely out of it. I am so sad that he will not be able to fight. I was kind of looking forward to him fighting, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, and unfortunately, Renato Moicano is the one that is going to be stepping up not unfortunately. Unfortunately for Benil, Renato is the one stepping up instead of, I don't know who else they could have had, honestly. They should have had a backup fighter. I don't know why they didn't have a backup fighter for this. But I guess we know Armin's special move now is to pull out, actually. That's the special move. Apparently, from Ariel Helwani, he was having trouble cutting weight at the last bit, and then he just had an injury with his back that ended up messing up. Look, I know a lot of fighters come into fights with injuries, but it's kind of like with TJ Dillashaw. You're kind of screwing the fans a little bit when you do something like that, because we're not going to be able to see you at your best performance. And yeah, that's just that's not good for the fans. That's not good for your legacy. So yeah, feel bad for Armin. A little bit upset that he's not able to fight. But hey, I really like Renato Moicano too. I know it's a long shot, but if he wins, the pandemonium will be insane. I feel like if you got the money, hey, throw a plus 600 bet on Moicano. We'll look at the odds in a second. When I look up the event again, but real quick, now we're going to be going into another topic I wanted to talk about today. We have Mr. Kevin Holland here, having some beef, with Rampage Jackson, and I'm gonna go back just a little bit here. I think it's like about right here that it starts. I forget who this guy's name is, but he's like kind of the main dude of the Jackson podcast or whatever. And he's mainly the one who interacts with all the fighters, does all that business and stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just moving my thing over there. It's a little bit easier for me to do that. But anyways, let's get started. Let's watch a little bit of this.
I do
Ice.
Rampage because I love you, but I'm a fan of Kevin Holland. I love the way he talks.
I'm a fan of his too, but I know. Hey, I know everybody ain't my sense of humor.
All right, so yeah, I think he explains it. I watched a little bit of the video while I was working today, but I wasn't able to get like a full analysis of it. So when he did this, what he's talking about is when Kevin Holland did that to MVP, and we all unfortunately know what happened to Kevin Holland with MVP. That was a fight where I was like, man, if there is one fighter that is gonna absolutely, like, I honestly thought Kevin Holland was gonna put work on MVP. I thought he was gonna either grapple him down or just land better strikes and stuff. But yeah, Kevin Holland looked lost out there, and it's one of these things where I really, really, really liked Kevin Holland on his 2020. I think it was 2020 run that he did. He had like 4 or 5 fights that year. Dude was one of the most entertaining things on those fight nights. Talk trash in an empty arena, and it'd be so funny because you could hear everything he was saying, and sometimes the fighters would talk back. He had that crazy knockout over Jacare Sousa. Sousa. I don't know how to say his last name, but he back fisted him off of his back essentially while talking to him, and just went just kind of swatted at him, and he knocked him out. It was absolutely crazy. I remember watching that live, and I was like, this guy's gonna give Izzy some problems, and he did. What was funny is that he did end up like kind of essentially calling out Izzy after that fight in the cage, and was like, Izzy was watching and stuff. And it really elevated Kevin Holland as a prospect. And then he went on a little bit of a grapple fight skid where he lost to some grapplers and some unentertaining bouts, unfortunately. And there's nothing you can do against that. Sure, I want him to be as the best wrestler as he can possibly be and do all the great grappling stuff that he can. But other than that, I mean, he was KOing people and making them look silly and smacking them and doing all sorts of fan-friendly fun stuff. But as of recent, I mean, not even that recent, but like as of I think last year, he had an interview. I forget who he had an interview with, but he essentially said, yeah, I don't really care about the belt. I'm just fighting because they pay me really good and I'm the ultimate gatekeeper. And that just was a huge turnoff for me for being a fan of him. I want someone who has goals in the UFC and wants to, I mean, sure, getting 6 or 7 fights this year, I guess you can call that a goal. But why not the goal be, hey, let me put together a 3 or 4 fight win streak and let me challenge for that 185 belt or that 170 belt. I think he was better at 170, if we're going to be completely honest. He outsized a lot of dudes. I don't think the weight cut was honestly that bad for him. I just think he's being lazy going to 185. He's a small 185er. he's just honestly, and that's the thing too, is at 185 he was fighting Marvin Vettori and Derek Brunson, and these are big guys. I think Derek Brunson used to fight at like heavyweight. Marvin Vettori is also just a huge middleweight as well, and yeah, he got grappled a lot, unfortunately. But at 170 he can be a lot more scrappy. He's bigger than the other guys, lengthier. He just has a lot of advantages at 170, and that's where I felt like, hey, he could be a real problem at 170 if he wants to. But unfortunately, he's just been really hot and cold as far as his fighting goes. His last fight against Roman Dolidze, he quit because of a rib injury. You know, I've never had a rib injury, but I know some other fighters have had other injuries. I mean, I think of Jack the Joker, who's also at middleweight. He had some crazy rib injury, went out the next round and finished the guy. You know, I'm not saying that I could go out there and survive with a broken rib, but you know, you kind of have this expectation as being a UFC fighter that you're one of those people that can out tough certain crazy injuries. But I get it also to a certain extent. Like if the rib was falling off and he could feel it moving around inside, like yeah, obviously stop the fight. But his last fight wasn't really good, and yeah, you know, he gets some good knockouts and stuff. But if you're one of those guys who, you know, doesn't have a goal or an ambition in the UFC, fans aren't gonna like you that much. In fact, I think fans are gonna be like, just get this guy out of the UFC at this point. You want to be a gatekeeper? That's what you want to do. That's what you want your career to be known for. And he has this weird like, I'm better than you, but also like I don't need to bring myself down to uh or bring myself up to that level to do whatever the other UFC fighters are doing. And like, you know, he has a couple of funny jokes. He's a funny guy. I wish he would talk more in his fights. That was his thing. That was pretty fun. And he, for some reason, I think he fought better when he talked during fighting. But now he's been having these kind of so fights. It's not looking good for him in the middleweight division if he wants to stay there, if I'm going to be completely honest. Fighting Ryder Ritter is going to be tough for him. But I think I've yapped enough about how I've started to fall out of love with Kevin Holland. Let me get to the actual rest of this because I did a lot of yapping.
Ain't for everybody.
But so, you did this to him. It wasn't needed. I feel like you owe him an apology. He drove 3 hours.
Listen, we already talked about it on the FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? I like to joke around. I don't mean nothing personal with nobody. That's me. That's my sense of humor. Everybody ain't like me, and everybody ain't.
So yeah, if you don't know about Rampage Jackson, he's an old legend of the UFC and Pride and stuff. He is one of the first people to really like be a heel, quote unquote, in the UFC / MMA. He was a really funny guy, known for having some pretty crazy, outlandish things to say. Just look up any Rampage Jackson compilations of him, post-fight interviews, pre-fight interviews. He just had some insane interviews. He was pretty popular at the time too. I remember the Rashad Evans and Rampage fight was pretty big. It was one of the few fights on a pay-per-view that wasn't for a title that was big enough to carry its own. So Rampage Jackson has some good history at the UFC. And yeah, let's continue on.
Ain't like you. If people, I've learned throughout my life, if people don't like my sense of humor, fuck it.
I like that.
Yeah,
Kevin, you could probably appreciate that attitude.
I mean, I guess in a sense, you know what I mean. It just doesn't work like that for Kev.
Why?
It's usually if you say fuck it to me, it's usually fuck you. So
well, I did.
See, that's why do you have? I don't understand why there has to be. Well, if you mean it that way, I'm gonna take it as disrespect. Like, Rampage Jackson is obviously not meaning any sort of disrespect. It's called banter. It's called a little bit of joking. You know, I've never had a friend that never, you know, had a little joke to make fun of me about something, and you know, I say something right back. You know, it's just a part of, you know, especially fighters and stuff like that need to get their ego checked a little bit with other fighters, especially retired fighters and stuff like that. Like they gotta show Rampage a little bit of respect, Kevin.
I didn't say fuck you. I said fuck it.
Yeah, that's what I said. If you say fuck it to me, I usually say fuck
Well,
you.
fuck you too. I don't give a fuck.
And then it's fuck,
Yeah.
and then it's F it, and then it's F
Hey,
you.
bro.
You can really see that guy's whole demeanor. He's like, let's not do this, guys.
I like that.
Yeah.
Bro, I got no problem with this cat.
Yeah, I
but,
love that.
But you know what I'm saying? I'm going to beat me whether he like it or not. I'm going to keep being myself and having the sense of humor that God gave me, and it
you're a
makes
funny
me
guy.
laugh. So I don't give a fuck.
Kevin,
Everything's
you
not
think Rampage
funny.
is a funny guy?
Nah, this fool has temper tantrum problems.
See, why are you coming into the interview just so hostile right off the bat, Kevin? Like, you're not fighting Rampage Jackson. There will be no fight set up from this. And as far as like getting, sort of attention drawn towards you, this is not the kind of attention that I want you to get. I want you to get crazy highlight Kevin Holland talking trash moments before he spinning wheel kicked Reiner de Ritter's hat off. That's the type of attention I want. I don't want you clashing with Rampage Jackson. The dude is, I think he is scheduled to fight again, but he's not that anymore, bro. He's not.
Temper tantrum problem.
I think he's talking about the Ultimate Fighter and the Door.
I don't know what the fuck this.
That's
guy
like 10
talking
years
about.
ago, Kevin.
It's
People
the same
evolve.
thing. Not really.
You don't think people evolve?
Some do. Not Jackson.
No, he right. I still do got a temper
Well,
tantrum.
Rampage
He
got
right-
a
he
little
right about
temper,
that.
but I feel like you've been able to.
I was about to say, I was like, yeah, Rampage just changed over time, and then he just completely shuts that down. But regardless, I think he has changed. Even though he says that himself, I think he has grown over time with age. To be a little bit less angry about things and stuff, a little bit more understanding. But he does have some Rampage Jackson's has some crazy takes. There's a lot of things I disagree with him on as far as MMA wise. But other than that, I like Rampage Jackson.
Control a little bit better.
I control my temper very well. I think that time on the Ultimate Fighter, I was trying to leave the room because I know that I was losing my temper. The staff there and everybody had been cheating my guys the whole motherfucking time, and they was telling me all the problems and stuff that they had. And then one time, one of my fighters gave it to something like they couldn't get actually on against Rashad. So when I racism, and that's
so very honorable. I originally thought was funny, but then I understand where you were coming from.
I understand what
you
you're
were
coming
fighting MVP. You did this to MVP, which I thought it was a great move. Hyped up the fight. Rampage made a joke on Instagram, and then Kevin FaceTimed me and said, "Yo, if I come there, I got to fight." I said, "Kevin, we can't do all that. Then we'll just have to reschedule."
Yeah, I mean, like if you had just come to him as a man and been like, "Hey, I would just appreciate if you didn't, make fun of me after my loss. Like, hey, I'm going through a rough time, blah blah blah." I feel like people are a lot more understanding than, I feel like just in general, people in general are a lot more forgiving if you come clean and you're honest about how you feel, rather than just being like, "Oh yeah, we gotta fight. Oh yeah, we're gonna fight. I'm gonna beat his ass." I know he's a fighter and he's all macho, testosterone-y, stuff like that, Kevin Holland, but bro needs to chill a little bit.
But I do want to say thank you for coming on the podcast a year later. And you know what? I think Kevin deserves a round of applause from the producing and the team.
yeah. That's the last thing he want to do is fight me though. That's the last.
Nah,
thing.
I still want.
Ooh, now we have triggered the dragon. The ancient dragon has woken up.
To.
No, it's
I don't
not.
give a fuck about the fight on Saturday.
No, you don't want to fight me.
I'm just being real.
I'm being real with you, young
right.
buck. You
I'm
don't
just
wanna
letting you
fight
know.
me. I'm just letting you know. You
Sounds good.
Sometimes people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
You don't want to fight me.
I feel like Kevin.
And that's like, why are you like, yeah, I don't care about the fight on Saturday, but why are you fighting? Why are you in the UFC? This seems to be more your thing, is just talking shit and going on the podcast and being an asshole. So why don't you just make that your new whole lifestyle and your new job? I was about to lose the word for job. Your new employment. Yeah, you need to change your employment to yapping on podcasts about how you want to fight guys instead of training for fights and stuff.
Sounds good.
You have a very unique reputation. I'm throwing on one of the new Jakes ones.
Known for fighting everybody.
You're known for
and
fighting
anybody.
at all times.
Don't care who they are.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
And I do like the fact that
I'm the same way.
yeah, and I do like the fact that Rampage, I feel, is like the first generation of that. He would take any fight at any time. He's been known for fighting in and out of the cage. Dana White came out and he talked about the fact that he wanted someone, and he said, yo, get the loudmouth, bring the loudmouth in. Let's see what he could do. You came in short notice, you put on a show, and then from there, I feel like your career took off. You've been known for talking loud. You talk during the middle of the fights. What is it about your style? What is it about talking during the middle of the fights, the way you're able to keep the energy going that you feel made you the fighter you are?
Nah, I just feel like fights get boring sometimes. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, like, you know, it's just one of those things where he needs to be only talking about the fight, what he's going to do in the fight, ways he's going to beat Reiner de Ritter. I know it's a lot of the same thing, but man, starting beef with Rampage Jackson, I think they ended up working it out. You can see in the comments here, props to Rampage for not body slamming his ass, nor absolutely murdering this dude in the studio. Wasn't Kevin a jokester? Now he's a serious cowboy yellow. So, you know, a lot of people, unfortunately, are just not liking him. And now we have the final face-off between them. Not sure Kano was saying, but we have a new main event. I'm super excited for it. Bit of a switch up, but hey, I don't mind that much. Get to see a crazier fight maybe from this, because I don't think Renato Moicano is gonna end up losing anything here, or have anything to lose per se. So if he should just go out and do a Beyblade, you know, crazy elbow spin type thing against Islam, something he's never seen. Oh yeah, I was gonna go through my picks one more time. Fight card. Where is it at? There it is. Wow, they updated that fast. Look at that. Alrighty. So this is our new card. So I'm going to write these down so that way when I'm going through the card tomorrow, I'm absolutely for sure. So I got Tagir by either decision or submission. Submission third round. So I'll put sub 3 or decision. Ricky Turquoise versus Bernard Sopaj. I have Bernardo. I should have said Bern. I have Bernardo Sopaj. I think by TKO or submission. I just think Ricky Turquoise is really easily finishable. We have Rinya Nakamura. And I'm going to have him by KO in round 1 or round 2. Maybe submission, but I feel like he's going to be more explosive as far as his fighting goes. And then I had Alien Elish. I've been watching UFC Embedded too, and I still can't pronounce her name. So we're going to go with Ellen Perez. I think I remember saying by submission, either third round or decision. Majority decision now on Perez. Grant Dawson, Diego Ferreira. I had Diego Ferreira. Diego Ferreira by either TKO or decision. I don't think he'll submit Grant Dawson because of how good it is, but I think he could catch him for sure, or just put out better output as far as the striking goes and get the TKO or decision. Bogdan Bogdan Guskov. So I went with Bogdan Guskov. I also have him by TKO. First or second. He looks like a more dangerous version of Anthony Smith. I forgot what the fights I went for his last fight, but yeah, it was pretty weird. Now we finally have this guy's pick, Zachary Reese. Oh, he shaved his head. So we're going with Zachary Reese because he's been having an actual fight camp, and his last ones have been pretty good. His record is pretty good as well. And I just feel like even though this guy's come from Russia on this late of notice, I'm kind of going to be contradicting myself, but because of late notice, Azmat Bekov will not be as prepared as Zachary Reese. So I have him by KO or TKO, 2 or 3. I think it'll take him a second to figure him out, but then after that, he'll probably catch him. And then of course we have Peyton Talbot as our next pick. KO round 1 or 2. I don't think he goes to a decision. He's just too hot right now, and I don't mean that as he is hot. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, but his momentum is surging quite so to where he's, as you could say, hot. But yeah, I feel like he's gonna end up getting the dub by KO or TKO round 1 or round 2. Next we have our boy that we were talking about earlier, old Kevin Holland, Reiner de Ritter. We're gonna be going with Reiner de Ritter, of course. De Ritter. Submission in round 1 or 2 or decision. Just putting that out there. Yuri versus Jamal. Gonna end up going with Jamal. I think he just catches Yuri early, unfortunately. As much as I want to see Yuri win, I think we have Jamal by KO round 1 or round 2. I know I'm saying or. Like I guess I need to have a specific actual, like, yes, it's going to be this round, but we'll tally up on the wins, not by exactly how they win. But anyways, Merab versus Umar, going with Merab. Definitely by decision. And then, I said, of course, we're rooting for Renato. We're rooting for him, but to be smart, we have to go with the logical pick, which is Islam. And I think I'd see Renato, unfortunately, getting taken down and TKO'd. I'm gonna say round 2 or 3. I don't think he'll get submitted. I think he's too wiry and a little bit too greasy, slippery, I should say, to get submitted. But we'll end up seeing about that. I think, unfortunately, Islam just gets on top of him and just starts pounding away. And Renato, he might be holding up his hand or trying to defend or whatever, but the ref is going to end up stopping it because Islam's going to get on top, and Renato will not be able to move, unfortunately. But anyways, we've got our picks here all written down, all ready to go. So I'm going to make sure I set up a tally marker tomorrow. So yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Man, we got the about 30 minutes long video. But anyways, I appreciate you guys all for watching. I'm going to try to find a way to make them a little bit shorter. I think that might help out a little bit, but I do really enjoy talking in long form and really getting out a lot of my thoughts, even though if they may repeat or I might just kind of drag on. I'm going to keep working on it. But anyways, thank you all for watching. And of course, I will see you later.